The chair now recognizes Russ Haas for the purpose of a nomination.
Was that a block? Friends, Republicans, countrymen, lend me your ears. We have come here tonight to bury Ed Perlmutter. Who am I? As a student of history since the 5th grade and a traveler of the world in pursuit of its fruits, even until living 2.5 years in Iran, here is a short list of names significant to Michael Deming and myself. Cato, the Roman senator. President George Washington. Representative Hamilton Fish from New York, a Republican. President Dwight Eisenhower. Representative Ed Perlmutter. And Grant Whitman of Golden. Finally, William F. Buckley. Why these 7 men? Cato the Younger's dedication and persistence, finishing every speech with "Et Carthago delenda sunt." Et Carthago delenda sunt. And Carthage must be destroyed. And so it was, along with this horrific religious practices. President George Washington's wisdom, saying in his farewell address, "Trade with and be friendly to all nations, but avoid involvement in their struggles." Representative Fish, President Roosevelt's Depression-era nemesis, for frugality, for finishing almost every speech with, "And where is the money coming from?" President Eisenhower's experience, saying in 1953, "I hate war. War solves nothing. Let those who advocate it do the actual fighting." Ed Perlmutter's reality, saying in a March 2008 Wheatridge Town Hall meeting, "The United States is out of money." Grant Whitman of Golden, father of a 9-month-old son. Whitman died this spring for what? Some dust in a remote Afghan valley. William F. Buckley, for defiance, saying, "I once stand athwart the path of history and say, stop." So I confidently present to you Michael Deming, seemingly the only candidate willing to stand and speak against our nation's headlong flight down this road to fiscal and moral ruin. Which other candidate will vote to emulate President Eisenhower in immediately winding down wars, financed entirely with borrowed money, waged only to save face for an errant and misguided administration? Which other candidate will stand athwart the path of unconstitutional foreign aid, now given to every village, Middlesex, and farm on the planet, financed entirely with public debt and money? Would you vote for Michael Deming, who is not dependent on daily emanations which flow from George Orwell's 1984 vintage Ministry of Truth in Washington, D.C.? Or for the Ministry of Love, for that matter? Yes. Would you want to have Michael Deming, who will condemn the violations, be they citizen searches or property seizures, violating our 4th Amendment Bill of Rights protections, both at home and abroad? Yes. Would you want Michael Deming to help deliver us from the unholy powers of the IRS and the so-called Federal Reserve Bank? Yes. Michael Deming is the man to update Ed Perlmutter's resume. I place a nomination tonight for Colorado's 7th Congressional District, Michael Deming.
Good evening. I'm Roger McCarville, and I'm from Arvada. I've been a political activist for about 16 years. A good number of you in the audience know me. My political philosophy has always been pro-life, strict frugality in government doings, and lots of transparency. Mr. Deming holds all of these beliefs also. For this reason, I encourage all of you in this great hall to vote for Michael Deming. Michael Deming will buck the establishment, and isn't that what everybody has been noticing is happening in many, many primaries the last week or two? I say it again, vote for common sense, vote for frugality, vote for transparency, vote to get rid of the Fed, and vote for Michael Deming. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Russ and Roger. I'm honored to carry the principles that we hold near and dear to our hearts. I'm Michael Deming, and in this race to stop our country's slide toward economic ruin. I'm the right person to represent the people of the 7th Congressional District. I'm qualified for this office. I'm not going to be changed by Washington, D.C. into someone that you no longer recognize. What are elections about? Elections are about trust. Delegates, didn't your neighbors at caucus trust you to vote for the best congressional candidate on their behalf? Aren't your neighbors who didn't attend the caucus, or who are registered in the wrong party, or no party at all, trusting that somebody will look out for their interests at the national level? That somebody is you. Tonight, you can meet and even exceed the expectations of that trust in 5 simple ways. How? Vote for the only candidate saying that every deficit dollar is a charge on the national credit card, a debt that our children and grandchildren must bear. Should we be paying interest to China and rapidly approaching the point where we won't even be able to afford some monthly minimum payment? Vote for the only candidate trying to get our country out of Iran and Afghanistan. And who knows what's next? Should the United States be the world's policeman? The Constitution does not authorize us to do so. And do we really have the money to do that anyway? How again? Vote for the only candidate willing to take on the Federal Reserve System. Should the Federal Reserve be charging we the people interest on every one of our dollars? Doesn't every dollar they pump into the system make every dollar that we sacrifice to save worth less and less? How can you exceed the expectations of your neighbor's trust? Vote for the only candidate who wants to disband the IRS. Should your share of the tax burden, be based on how much money you make? Progressive taxation is straight out of Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto, and I, Michael Deming, take it as a personal insult. Should we seek temporary safety at the expense of liberty? Benjamin Franklin said no. Isn't it about time you can take a bottle of water on a commercial flight? Our Fourth Amendment has been trampled. Why do we now have to prove our innocence rather than have it presumed like it's supposed to be? And isn't crisis time when the Constitution should most be followed? Vote for the only candidate willing to heed Benjamin Franklin's warning. How many of you really know two-term incumbent Democrat Ed Perlmutter? Has he been voting the way you would want him to at the U.S. Capitol? Not the way I would want him to. To take back the 7th congressional seat is up to you delegates to elect a candidate who is both worthy of Republican support and able to attract the unaffiliated voter. Isn't putting forth the right candidate, the Republican People's candidate, how we bring the incumbent home and defeat the powerful interests that want to keep him in D.C.? My name is Michael Deming. I would be honored to serve on your behalf in Washington, D.C. and prove myself worthy of your trust. Thank you.